What's up guys, Travis with my Bringback here, and welcome to your 10th tutorial. And today what we're going to get into is making those buttons actually do something. But before we start, I just want to say thanks for subscribing, watching, giving those thumbs up. I definitely appreciate it. And also I kind of just wanted to say, if you guys are still kind of lost, confused, don't worry, it'll come to you quickly and you'll just be like masters in no time. And definitely in today's tutorial the button has a lot of different things that are going to seem confusing. You aren't going to get it. You don't exactly know what's going on. But the more we use them, the more you'll understand what the methods do and what they mean. But we don't have a lot of time, so I'm just going to jump into it. But just make sure you guys stick with it because it's going to be worth it and you guys are going to pick up on what's going on. But first thing we want to do for our tutorial here is set up a new layout. So we're just going to right click, new, other, Android, under the Android folder, Android XML file, and we're going to call this tutorial 1. And again, nothing uppercase. Make sure everything's lowercase and you can use the numbers 0 through 10. We want to end it with an XML and make sure it's a layout, hit finish, and now we just have a new layout. We're just going to leave it blank for now. And then the other thing we need to do is right click on our package and go new class, and we're also going to call this one tutorial 1 or tutorial 1, something like that. And now what we want to do is make sure this is an activity. So again, we can use those on create methods, the set content view. So again, this is going to be kind of familiar. You guys are probably pros and you kind of understand what's going on with this right now. So we're going to import activity and we're going to set up our new XML by going source, override on implemented methods and on create bundle. And we're just going to quickly go within the on create and do set content view. Can't spell. And again, this is just going to be r.layouts or layout.tutorial1 now. So hopefully when we press a button, it's going to go to here, and you know, we're going to see blank screen. Blank screen. I don't know. I said it 10 times fast, and let me know what happens. So we're done with this tutorial 1 class for now. And again, all we need to do is go into our menu class now, and just trying to think of how we want to do this first. So basically, no, I'm sorry, go into your main XML class, and again, this will be holding our buttons and whatnot. Just going to expand that a little bit, and we're going to go into the XML, and as you can see, here are 2 buttons that we added. We added one manually and one with the easy way to do it. So basically, as you can notice, the only differences between these buttons is the manual one added a reference for us, and basically this is what we're going to reference in our Java. So we want a reference for our first button as well. So we're just going to say Android dot ID, oops, and then equals, and then basically we want to say at plus ID. This is saying we're setting up an ID of some sort, and then we label it whatever we want to label or reference it in in Java there. So we're going to say tutorial 1, something like that, and we're good to go. We're just going to change this button to tutorial 2 just so it makes sense. And those are going to be our references in the XML, or in the, I'm sorry, why do I keep saying that, in the Java. So now we're going to open up the menu class, and within the onCreate method, that's where we're going to set up our buttons. And you might want to wonder, never mind. I was going to tell some lame joke, but it's not going to happen. To set up a button, we're going to say button, and then whatever you want to label this as, we're just going to say tut1 for tutorial 1. Again, we need to import the button so we can use its sweet methods and all of that. And what we want to set this equal to is, first we want to put in parentheses button, and we're going to say find view by ID, and within here we're going to say r.id, little mix up there, tutorial1. So this is the ID that we just set up within that that class, that XML, and that's what it's going to look for. Quickly, I just kind of want to talk about the Java, just kind of so you guys aren't completely lost, even though you probably still will be, but you'll pick this up later. This in parentheses is basically saying whatever we're going to do is a button. We can use the button methods on it and all that. So I mean, don't really focus on that for now. Find view by ID. Pretty much everything in the XML is an ID. If we add a picture, that's an ID. If we add a button, or I'm sorry, why am I saying ID? It's a view. So like a button's a view to a sense, picture's a view, text is even, we can classify as a view. It all comes from the view class. So we're going to say find view by the ID of that view, basically. And then this is that reference. So now we set up our button. It doesn't really do anything yet. We just set up this and saying it is a button, and we find that reference. Now we can do some stuff with that button that we just set up by saying the button's name that we labeled, and then dot, and then basically what we first want to do, as you can see, there's a ton of methods, and over here there's a ton of it just kind of tells you where this method comes from. It's from the view class, so we can use all of those view methods, and that's why there's so many. But the one that we want to set up is, we first need to say set on-click listener. Whoops. So set on-click listener, and this is going to be kind of the confusing part. There's a few different ones you can do. This is the standard click listener, on key listener. We'll get into some of these later. And as for like the on touch listener, yeah, we'll get into that stuff later. Just do the on click listener for now. And within the brackets, what we want to set up is basically a on click listener. So we're setting up the on click listener, and what it takes is like a click listener. So we're gonna say new view dot on click listener. So if you click it there, it's gonna set this up for you. So definitely do the clicking. It's a lot easier. But again, this method comes from the view class, and that's what we're passing on the inside of this set content view. And here's the end of that statement. So we're just going to finish it off with a semicolon. And when we use this on-click listener, it needs to import, or needs to use this on-click method within inside of it. And basically this is where the magic's going to happen with the button. So what we can say is something like start activity, and again, this should look familiar from the last tutorial, and we can or last couple tutorials. And again, if you remember, what does the set or start activity take in? It takes in an intent. So we can either set up our intent like we did before, or we can do it where you label a name as an intent, or you can do something simpler if you want. This is just, you can write one line of code. Basically, we're going to say new intent, and within here we're going to go com dot my bring back dot the basics dot tutorial 1. So there we go. We need to import our intent here, and we're good to go. But if some of you might have caught on to this, you quick ones out there, basically we haven't set up this intent action name yet. So the last thing that we need to do is go into the manifest and then copy this and paste it still within the application, and we're going to rename this what our class name is, which is tutorial, if I can spell, 1. and that's our class name. Again, this is our action name, so this is the one that we need to match up with that button start activity from our main class or menu class. And again, we just said tutorial1. I think that's what we said. Short-term memory loss there. Yeah, tutorial1. So now we have that identifier and that reference. So that's basically all we want. We want it to be default as well for the category, and we're just going to save it and run it and make sure it works. Again, I know this is confusing at first, but you guys will get this. No joke, you'll be masters in no time. So we're just going to run it real quick, make sure everything works here. Basically, that's the end of the tutorial. So if you believe me, you can stop watching now. But if you want to see this awesomeness, then stay tuned, I guess. But as we can click our button 1, button 2 still isn't linked up to anything. It has that ID attached to it, but it's not linked up to anything. Button 1 does have the ID and it's linked up in the Java, so we're going to click it and it opens a new activity, the tutorial1 activity. Now what I want you guys to realize is when our splash screen happened, we finished it, so it's gone now, but when we hit the back button on the emulator, we never finished this activity, so it's still there, and we can just click that button, go back and forth. I mean, you can do this for days because it's so entertaining. Just, you know, it's amazing, really. So that's basically it. And as I said, the splash activity is finished. So if we hit back again, it's just going to close our activity because there's nothing back there. So I hope you guys liked the tutorial. I'll catch you guys next time, and have a good one.